But in actual fact, I've got a lot of people that love me, but I've got a lot of people that dislike me from my 20s of who I was portraying.
When they saw what you were putting out.
Correct.
And they were in a different place in their life. And this is so much of what we talk about, is the perspective looking in. You only knew what you knew at that point. What I do know about you is that you help people now, particularly men that are in that place and dealing with kind of masculine toxicity, if you like, that goes with it. What did you do to get yourself out of that? And how do you help people? So imagine someone watching this now, listening to this and going, oh my God, that's me, or my friends like that. They recognize that behavior. What are the habits you build to pull out of that?
Great question. So yeah, I'll say that I'm in recovery, but not from alcohol. I'm a recovering people pleaser. It caused me no end of issues, not just with women, with alcohol, with all sorts of different things with employers, you name it. I've tried to please the customer, then my employer would be annoyed at me, because I just didn't want anyone to have a bad perception of me, not of the business. So this showed up in every single facet of my life, and I'll run through it very quickly. I went from company superstar, nice house, the car, the girlfriend, to unemployed, single, lost 3 family members in the space of a month, suicidal, nearly ended my life in 6 months. My life went from hero to absolute zero. My blueprint for life was just torn up in front of me. And that day, I was at my best friend's father's wake, and I drank 10 pints, and I thought, this is the way I'm going to do it. This is the way I'm going to end my life. So that's how bad it got. And I didn't want to die. I wanted the pain to stop. This constant cycle of misery and despair and self-judgment and self-deprecating language that made me feel like an idiot and that the world would be better if I just wasn't here. That's how bad it got, because it was rejection after rejection after rejection, in my mind at least. And then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And then you go, well, that's just who I am then. So I'm stuck in this shame cycle and I couldn't break free. And the thing is that day, though, because I was on the way to crashing my car at 100 miles an hour, 500-600 feet away from the bridge, and I got a phone call and it just said, Mum is calling. And as soon as I saw the thing of Mum, I was like, oh my God, what are you doing? Answered the phone. Hey, Adam, you've left your wallet here. Do you want me to drop it off for you? It's like, bang, snapped out of it, car spun out of control. And I'm sat in the lay-by and I just sobbed for hours. But what happened was, it wasn't like an epiphany or a religious moment or anything like that. It was just a moment of, how grateful am I? Because I've got a mum that loves me, and I've got a dad that loves me, and I've got friends, and I've got family. I'm at least healthy. I can get myself out of this. And I knew it was going to be a slow process. Brick by brick, I had to rebuild this foundation.
Put control back.
Correct. Yeah. And what can I do to move forward? And what I'd advise anyone that's struggling right now, maybe not suicidal, right? Not everyone's at that state. Maybe you're just low. Maybe you're just a bit down in the dumps. Maybe you are a bit depressed. Maybe you are a bit overweight or drinking too much. You want to set your bar really low of what you expect of yourself. And Jordan Peterson talked about this. And the reason why is because if you say to yourself, I have to achieve marathon status and I have to own a 6-figure business and do that, and then you compare to your current reality, which might not be that, you're going to think you're an idiot again. Set an achievement task of going, right, I'm going to walk outside today for 20 minutes. That's going to be a goal of mine today. Great. Can you do that? Can you put one foot in front of the other? Yes, I can. Fantastic. Tomorrow, can you do the same for 5 minutes longer? Sure. Can I start drinking more water? Of course. Can I start eating a bit healthier? Yeah. Can I take a little bit of a break from alcohol, perhaps? Yeah. Give myself 30 days. What's going to happen is that's going to compound over time. And within 60 days, you're going to become unrecognizable. If you allow yourself that grace period and compassion and empathy that you would extend to your best friend's grandmother. You won't call them an idiot. You won't call them an F in this and an F in that, would you? You'd be supportive. You'd be kind. You'd be nurturing. Do that to yourself too. But it's not cool to do that as a man, because you have to use self-deprecating language. When you walk into a room of a group of guys, I used to see it in bars when I worked in hospitality. Women would get complimented on their outfit and then they'd go to the toilet and they'd all talk about the friend and they'd go, oh my God, what's she wearing that for? Men walk in and go, haha, you bald idiot. And you'd be like, what? Where's that come from? What are you wearing that for? You're like a right knob. So it's just so deeply ingrained. But the thing is, a lot of men are smiling in the light, but they're crying in the dark. And what's happening is, Joe blogs that day, right? I've not got a stick up my backside. I like to have banter. I like to, have a bit of a laugh. But Joe Blogs might have put that shirt on today, and that's the only shirt that he feels comfortable in. And he doesn't have to pick it off his stomach every time he sits down, because the buttons aren't going to do that, and then it's going to reveal his tummy, and then he's going to feel insecure. These are real problems. And he walks in, and his mates just ruin him for it. But it's not about the shirt, it's about what the shirt represents. And that shirt represents comfort and safety for that man. But you just ridiculed him for 20 minutes about it. And I have had men do this. They go home and they cry. They sit on the end of the bed because a lot of men are suffering in quiet desperation because they don't know how to express themselves. Because guess what? If they do, they get judged and fixed. Oh, mate, calm down. It's only a laugh. I appreciate that. But you don't know how much he's suffering because he's wearing this mask. He's got this facade. He's got the avatar. He's got the character. And this isn't 25-year-old lads that are insecure. This is 45 to 55-year-old CEOs.
Because that's a key part of what you do, right? We were talking before, and I know that from knowing you, but with Phil included in that, you look after some incredibly successful people and outward facing, they're successful, confident and so on, but you'll see the other side of it, right?
Correct.
And that's
self-esteem is a huge determinant for us all, isn't it?
It is.
And I'm going to bring it back to an ADHD agenda if I can, because
Sure.
I think it's really important to keep making those links. And all of that misunderstanding from boyhood through childhood, adulthood, pubescent, and all of those things, that understanding builds and builds and builds, doesn't it? Misunderstanding builds and builds and builds. And of course, if we don't understand ourselves, other people are not understanding us as well, self-esteem just plummets, doesn't it?
It does.
And I can only imagine that yours did. Everybody I speak to in the ADHD world suffers with that incredibly low self-esteem. And here you are now. I look at you and I'm listening to you in awe. And I will tell you, your shirt looks great. But genuinely, you seem to be on top of it. But I would imagine, being neurodiverse, you haven't grown out of it. You're still neurodiverse, but you understand yourself a lot more. Do you still have problems with your self-esteem?
Oh my God, yeah. Like, the thing is, with self-esteem, I'm obsessed with language and words. Self-esteem is esteem of oneself. Responsibility is your ability to respond. It's not my fault that I've got ADHD. It's no one's fault. It's no one's fault that I've got dyspraxia, but it is my responsibility. And that's a very big difference. So it's my ability to respond to how I'm feeling in that moment. So I have to almost surrender to the feeling and allow the feeling to be present, because no one died from feeling an emotion, but loads of people die because they suppress their emotions. There's a very big difference. So I feel sad today, okay, because most people go to the three main ones: stress, anxious, and depressed. What if we got a little bit more intentional about our label today? Maybe you're overwhelmed. Maybe you're not anxious. Maybe you feel a bit low. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you're not depressed. Because what happens is you have a thought, then you have a label, then you have a belief, then you have an action, then you have your results. You can't control your thoughts. I am not my thoughts. So if I see someone that's attractive down the street, thought, she's attractive, okay. It only becomes real if I express it to the individual and go, hey, you're really attractive, and she might go, F off, okay, no worries, right? But it only becomes real. So the thought isn't real. You have 2,000 thoughts an hour on average. Neurodiverse people probably have more, and 80% of those are negative. If you're on the motorway and you see an accident, you don't think, oh, what a wonderful scenery. You think, oh, I'm going to be late now, even though there's been a crash, and there's a family maybe dead in that car. So we do that with our thoughts as neurodiverse people. We catastrophize very quickly. So it's important to catch yourself at the thought. So I just had this yesterday. Oh God, I'm so overwhelmed. Do I take Christmas off? Do I keep working? Pause, Adam. Label. How are you feeling today? I'm feeling really tired actually. So I'm going to give myself a bit of grace period. I'm going to have a nap. It's 2 p.m. I've not got a call till 4. I'm going to have half an hour nap and I'm just going to relax. Okay. So my belief is that's okay. I don't need to judge myself and go, you're lazy, you're an idiot. The action is I've got self-compassion. I feel energized now. The result, I'm ready for my client call. As opposed to stroking my face and going, oh, for God's sake, why am I like this? What's wrong with my brain? Listen to your body. Your body keeps the score.